So Pfister's comments has not gone down well with now a lot of coaches and officials in the football fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago. What is your views on what he said in the post-match?
I think Coach Otto Pfister, given his age and his experience, I think, and given that he's a guest in our country and our guest because I am one of the coaches that welcome him here, I think his statements are very unfortunate and ludicrous to say the least. To describe that Caledonia AIA treats our players, in particular Denzel Theobald, like an animal is a very strong statement. And, you know, I want to know why the journalist didn't ask him to quantify what exactly he meant by that, because I don't know what he means by that. What I know is that one of the top clubs in India showed an interest in Denzel Theobald after the India game. They contacted him, they spoke with him, and he expressed his interest in going there. Caledonia AIA has not benefited $1 from this exercise, and we've made Denzel a free agent so that he can take up this opportunity because he's approaching 30. He's not starting with the national team. Mr. Pfister says he's his best midfielder, yet he was in the stands to the first World Cup game and he played only 5 minutes in the next World Cup game. So Theobald made a decision, given the salary and given what it means to his future, because we don't have a pension plan for footballers in Trinidad and Tobago. What we benefit from this deal is the cultural exchange. India being one of the parents of Trinidad and Tobago, as is Africa. So we now negotiating with the club during their off-season to bring an India player, which we hope will excite the India population, who is a little bit far removed from football. So culturally, we are looking for this connection. What is animalistic about this?
Now tell us something, Coach. Is it just a case of getting a player out for a contract outside of Trinidad and Tobago, where just for a player to get more money, as it were?
No, I think in this case with Theobald, we look at the whole package. As I said, we are not benefiting financially, but the network that we're going to make, you know, with a connection between Trinidad and India, you know, it speaks volume for what we could do, especially as a community of Mova and Lavantil. You know, it's not about dollars and cents for us. You know, for Theobald, it gives him the opportunity to secure his future in a better way. And every man have got to think about his situation. There's nothing in place here for Mr. Pfister to secure Denzel's future. Mr. Pfister cannot even guarantee Denzel a place on the 18. You know, so, you know, for him to say his best midfielder, I think is misleading. You know, one, and I think, you know, is very, very out of place on his part. You know, I would not like to delve too much more into his comments because he's older than me, much older than me, and I have been taught by my parents, you know, may their souls rest in peace, to show respect to the old. But his sentiments are bordering on senile at the moment.
All right, so Mr. Shabazz, could it be that his I don't know, his concerns could be that we are shipping these players off the leagues that might be considered, you know, less than our own here, where they could perhaps try to secure something in a country that is, you know, more football crazy?
Well, I think we gotta measure the input clubs put into the league, into the players, and what they get out of it. I think if Mr. Pfister has demonstrated that he does not want a local-based team, so he should not have a problem with local-based players going to become foreign-based. And probably these players going away because they feel that they stand a better chance of catching his eye. Look, we brought a goalkeeper here from New Zealand, paid $26,000 for the ticket. And this keeper proved to us that he could hardly save $1. And we had Marvin Phillips, local base player, working hard on top of his game. Marvin Phillips was on the bench. How can Mr. Pfister explain that? So if Marvin Phillips now decides he wants to go to Vancouver, right? How can Mr. Pfister be upset with that? It's illogical. And gone are the days where people from Europe or South America or from any other part of the world could just come to our country and just make spurious remarks without quantifying it. It's nonsense.
Right. Another remark that Coach Pfister made was the subject of the agents or the lack of agents thereof, and that we face probably bans in terms of the clubs for using probably unscrupulous agents. If agents are told, he said the clubs are some of them doing business on their own, which is against FIFA regulations.
I think there are good agents and there are bad agents. There are scrupulous agents and there are unscrupulous agents. Again, Mr. Pfister in his adrenaline rush, could have better quantified who were the agents of which he was speaking about. We know of Mike Berry, who's been very good to Dennis Lawrence and Jason Scotland and Carlos Edwards. We know of people like Heather McKenzie. We've had agents here who's done good for players. We've also had agents who've exploited players, and we understand that. So I think, instead of calling a spade, Mr. Pfister went on to call the spade an agricultural instrument, and he widened the net, and in doing so, he mashed on some corns that he should not have mashed on. And I'm warning you, Mr. Pfister, do not mash on Caledonia or Jamaal Shabazz corn. We have no quarrel with you. I don't know if you made those statements because I coach in Guyana and you want to get under my skin, but my skin is very dark and thick, and it's not easy to get under my skin. I accustomed being in the sun.
All right. So you're thinking probably it's a case of mind games ahead of the two crucial games now against Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, but are mind games with me? With all I've been through in my life? Check my history. Mr. Pfister don't know my history? Check my history. All that I've been through in my life, a man can play mind games with me? Come now, man, Mr. Pfister. Even my old man should know better than that.
Now tell us something. There are rumors, and I say rumors, that Coach Pfister has a relative of his that is an agent and who's probably trying to woo some Trinidad and Tobago players to become their agent and getting probably foreign contracts for them. Have you heard those rumors?
He who asks the question knows more than he who is being questioned on this matter. I do not want to step 1 millimeter in the direction of Mr. Pfister and his dealings with agents and all those things. I want to stick close to the issues with Caledonia, national football, and keeping it very, 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 very focused. Mr. Pfister could be dealing with whoever. I'm not getting into his business, and I think he should gather his information better before he get into Caledonia's business.
Jamaal, I just want to ask you this question as it pertains to Mr. Pfister and this entire situation. Of course, you would have heard a lot from your fellow owners, coaches, and whatnot in the league locally. How does Trinidad and Tobago football at that level, rebound from this entire?
I think we've got to look at it holistically. There must be a reason why a player would want to just pick up and go, from here to Vietnam or from here to India. I think it's a question of security. In 1989, under Gally Cummins, we came within 1 point of qualifying for the World Cup. And when you look at what happened there 20 years, 21 years back, the government and the private corporate sector employed the players and then gave them back to the national team full time, right? They were able to train 5-6 times a week under Coach Cummins. And the foreign-based players then was few and far between. I think if we want to see a situation where we don't want a mass exodus of players going on to bigger and better things, there must be some kind of subsidy system set up between corporate Trinidad and Tobago and the government that could, you know, finance and fund these players so that they could stay home for the entire period of the campaign. At the same time, we must never close the door on an ambitious individual wanting to go overseas and further their careers, because a player might leave here and go to Vietnam, and from Vietnam he might be spotted and end up in England, end up in some other part of Europe. If Mr. Pfister is so averse to people going and moving on to bigger and better things, why he didn't stay in Germany and work in some lowly club? Why he went to Africa and come to the Caribbean to become a big coach, big money earning coach? Why he didn't stay in his country? Because he is ambitious? Is it because he so care about the third world? I don't think so. I think he wanted to push himself and wanted to be the best he possibly could be, and Africa and the Caribbean has provided the opportunity for him. There are coaches in Europe will scoff at a coach leaving Europe and coming in the Caribbean to work. So, you know, if you look at it from the flip side, there's merit also in going to going to these places, because it's not the end all. It could be a stepping stone. Let me give another example. Players come here from Guyana, right? And from St. Vincent, and from some of the smaller islands to play. But a lot of them just come here and want to play for 3-4 years, and they want to go further. It's a stepping stone. You know what I mean? And stepping stone could be small, it could be big, it could be near, it could be far. Who is Mr. Pfister to decide which stepping stone a player should make?
Finally from me, Coach, whether you know it or not, or whether you like it or not, you're in a unique position, because even before that game has been played, Trinidad and Tobago is on probably the back foot, and Guyana probably in the ascendancy, not just on the points table, but in terms of probably Guyana progressing. And as the reality of it, is that some sort of pressure for you going into those two games?
I am under no pressure. In fact, I think given the vituperations of Mr. Pfister, he is under pressure. And I'm going to call Mr. Gruden, from the TTFF and ask them to send a doctor and a psychiatrist to check out Mr. Pfister. Because clearly, he is under pressure, and that pressure is getting him to say some crazy things, right? And put that, right? Mr. Pfister seems to be, you know, under so much pressure. I am under no pressure, because who would I expect? Who would have expected Guyana to be in this situation today as against Trinidad? You know? And for me, you know, it's not just about me and glory for Jamaal, Shabazz or Guyana. I think I took this job to make a statement, as I said before, you know, for Caribbean coaches, for coaches in Trinidad and Tobago, that our time come. You know, gone are the days when we had to sit and wait for a blue-eyed, blonde, South American or European or whoever. Just as we don't need to sit and wait for a foreign commissioner of police, we don't need to sit and wait for somebody outside to come and carry our fortune forward. And it's towards this end I took this job, because I think our time has come and our time is now. So my working for Guyana is not against Trinidad and Tobago, you know. It's to make a statement on behalf of the local coaches of Trinidad and Tobago.